Everybody. Wonderful to see you. My name's Arwen. Hi, I'm here all the way from Tasmania. Hi,
How
Melinda.
are you?
Good, thank you.
Yes, Arvind. Thank you so much for joining this session. So, before we start the presentation, I will give you a brief introduction of yours. So, Arvind coaches women who are visionaries, empaths, and entrepreneurs through life and business transformations using Creatrix codes, a divine tapestry of soul mastery, natural laws, neuroscience, psychoeducation, and quantum physics. Avan's unique alchemy incorporates magnetic mind techniques, superconscious guidance, rapid recode, goddess archetypes, craniosacral and release techniques, phenomenology, energy work, and the latest manifestation methods. So her qualifications and experience include registered trauma, creative arts, and play therapist, certified magnetic mind coach, certified craniosacral, somato, and emotional release and massage therapist. Initial channel, oracle, and mood temple initiator, high priestess, published writer and upcoming author, sacral feminine, spiritual midwife, and energy healer, former leader in a global wellness business, internationally awarded and published photographer. So, Erin began her counseling career as a creative arts therapist in 2009 after completing her master's at MIE CATC Old Honors in Psychology and a Bachelor's of Arts, and is certified magnetic mind coach and craniosacral therapist. So, so thank you so much, and Arvin. So you can go ahead and you can start the presentation. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Melinda. It's such a pleasure to be here. I hope you're all having an amazing conference. So I'm here to speak about all things intuition and conscious creation, which is an absolute passion of mine. So let's start right in. So I would love to ask you a question, first of all. How would you feel if we could completely change people's reality by shifting them from living from a life of trauma and the impact of that, and have them instead living in the magic of conscious creation? I know many of you will have worked with women who've been in trauma, with all genders, in fact, and many of you will have experienced trauma yourself, just like I have. And for so many people, they're trapped in this living where they are really impacted by how their nervous system is operating, keeping them safe and going into overdrive so that they are really not able to live a life of joy and purpose. So, for many of us, no matter what we're experiencing, we are dreaming of a future of abundance, purpose, freedom, and impact, yet feel completely stuck in our current circumstances, wishing that we could change the lives of others as well as our own and really create a magic impact. In fact, at this time for human consciousness, there's this real shift towards wanting and doing all that we can to really change the matrix of the planet and really make a big impact. And we need women to change the way we live in the world and to help other women to thrive in order to really shift global consciousness and heal the planet. So I'm super delighted to share this topic with you today. So I have come across an extraordinary method that I'm now qualified in to help people shift away from what is their debilitating trauma and limiting beliefs, lack of self-worth, of self-esteem, anxiety, low moods, to shift into a life of joy, purpose, and impact. I am a qualified therapist, so I have spent many years working with trauma survivors, and so much of what we were taught and what mainstream personal development and psychology focuses on is the problems in which the client comes with. And for all of us, we are really conditioned to live from our problems. So I'm going to get a bit more into this. So the beautiful thing about this magnetic mind way of living in the world and helping others is that we actually have everything that we need right now. We don't need to fix anything. We don't need to overcome anything or create anything that is better, because we're not broken. And when I first learnt this, it came off the back of nearly 40 years of living from what I call a trauma orientation, one that many of my clients in therapy have lived from, where we're living from anxiety, excuse me, feeling like we're broken, that we're abnormal. It's very pathologized. When I first learned that despite all that I had been through, that I was not broken, that I in fact was completely fine to just live my life as I wanted to and create incredible purpose, then my life completely transformed, and now I teach others to do the same. So this work is a culmination of work really from ancient methodologies through to the most latest neuroscience and manifestation techniques. And my beautiful friend, mentor, and employer, Chris Duncan at Conscious Education, is the one that really has taught me the nuances of this extraordinary work. And I weave in, of course, my own practices from what you've heard already about me, and my connection with nature, my work as a craniosacral therapist and as a trauma therapist. So I really would love to you just to take a moment and just notice what's happening in your body, kind of feeling that there might be this kind of answer towards trauma. And a lot of the world's problems are based on trauma and lack of self-belief. Because when I feel it in my body, I just get this extraordinary feeling of excitement and potential. And it almost comes with a sense of, or it did, I should say, it came with a sense of skepticism and fear and how could that possibly happen for me? And so just noticing what's happening for you while you're hearing this information, noticing how it's landing for you. So not that long ago, I was really walking in the blackest of pits. I was an absolute mess emotionally. It was really so dark for me that in my memory, I thought I was walking through the darkness. I was really losing everything in my life. I'd had 2 miscarriages. I had a toddler who was wonderful but all consuming, and I was exhausted. My new marriage was falling apart, and I was still recovering from some really significant PTSD from having my first child, where I was hospitalized for spiraling out of control with panic. And this had been something that had been with me for many years, since a childhood car accident where I was really plummeted into a post-traumatic stress disorder patterning for the rest of my life. So at this time, a few years ago, I felt completely empty, really helpless, and completely broken. I was on a spiritual and healing path, like many of us are, and I tried absolutely everything, from talking therapies, arts therapies, all manner of alternative therapies, and all sorts of personal development courses. And I know many of you can put your hand up to that. A lot of us who are on the healing path of self-discovery and of helping other people, we go to absolute lengths to go to courses and learn new ways of being. At this time of blackness, it felt all completely pointless to me. I felt like a failure. And trusting my intuition to carry me forward into some kind of magical future of manifestation just did not ring true for me. How could I manifest this life of abundance and joy when I just felt so dark? So I know you would have many clients like this, friends and family, and that you may well have experienced a dark night of the soul like this, when you were completely lost and you did not know how to overcome your current circumstances. And yet you knew that it was completely up to you to change, to shift your life, because no one else can do it other than us. And sometimes for clients, this can really be overwhelming because they have no idea how to shift and change. So what if I told you that the solution to shifting out of this state and for creating a life of purpose, joy and fulfillment is your intuition? It's what you're born with. We all have this incredible sense of intuition. It's not our logical brain. It's not about changing your beliefs even, or leaving it up to some magic of the universe to create miracles for us. It's about corresponding with your highest self, with what we call in magnetic mind your superconscious, while ensuring that you're in the right structure to co-create those miracles with the universal field, this global superconscious energy field that we can all tap into. Because most of the human race, and most certainly, as I said, in psychology, therapy, and personal development, has got it completely wrong by focusing on resolving a problem rather than creating a new desired reality. So most of us operate from what we call a problem orientation. We live our lives according to the circumstances that we want to get away from, and we see a possible future solution as something as better or that is fixing our perceived problems. The truth is, we're creating our lives all the time. No one else is creating it for us. We are the predominant creator of our lives. And if we're putting our focus on our limiting beliefs, on our anxiety, and on our problems, then we're creating more and more of the same. A lot of this is done unconsciously because of our patterning. So this is because we have a reality that's based on our unconscious agenda to ensure safety and survival by making sure that we belonged to our family as children. This is a very normal part of growing up. Children can't look after themselves, so that unconscious part of their brain really is set up to ensure that they survive, that they get fed, and that they're looked after by their family. What happens then as we grow a little bit older is that we have these self-conscious beliefs that are there to really try and resolve these patterns. So we end up with these beliefs that then become outdated as we grow into adulthood, and we can't really understand, while we're still living from the emotions effectively of a toddler who did not get their needs met. And you see this in relationships a lot, for example, where people attract an abusive partner and multiple times when they've experienced abuse as a young child, and they cannot understand logically how they can keep creating more of this reality. But unconsciously, that abusive relationship is actually seen as what's safe because it's what's familiar, and anything else is seen as a threat. The same happens with toxic shame. If the child has experienced toxic shame, then through adulthood, that's what's familiar, not this life of safety and beautiful love and abundance with another person. It happens a lot with money, where we've experienced lack growing up and poverty, and so we create more of that and can't seem to get out of this unconscious pattern to create more of what is always been familiar to us. So in terms of the self-conscious beliefs that tend to build upon these unconscious agendas, there are 9 common beliefs that really keep us stuck in our current reality instead of moving forward. These are: I'm not perfect, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not safe, I don't belong, I'm insignificant, are the main 6. And then I must not feel negative emotions. I must have an authority to tell me what to do, or I must be an authority. And finally, I must hold the power. I must not be powerless. And so we see these identities really play out in our day-to-day lives, and particularly in relationships and the workplace. So these self-conscious identities keep us orientating from a problem structure where our wounds create our reality. So what do I mean by a structure? A structure is anything that has 2 or more moving parts working together. So your body is a structure. A chair is a structure because it's made out of several parts of wood that are fit together. So, and we know that when we have a structure, that creates this energy flow, and energy always takes the path of least resistance along this structure. So if you imagine like a river, the riverbanks are creating the structure for the water flowing, and then there's boulders in the way in the river, so the water has to flow around those boulders. It flows around the resistance that is there in the river, because the water as an energy force is always flowing that path of least resistance. And it's the same with energy in our bodies and how we create our future reality. Our energy focuses more on what it is that we've created already, unless we shift our frequency and start to use structural tension to create our desired results. Water is also a good example of a structure in itself because it changes from water to steam, from vapor to ice. And so this is what we mean by a structure. So in this work, what we have is we basically have an identity that is incompatible with our desired reality. So if you imagine we have our identity here, this is who we are in the world, our beliefs and our circumstances. And then over here, we have what we would call our desired reality. This is the future we want to create. It's health, it's freedom from what we've been experiencing that we no longer want. But what tends to happen is our current identity does not equal our desired reality. And so we keep creating more of the same. And so what we need to do is we need to teach our identities that it's completely safe to create this desired reality. And how we do that is by making sure we have the correct structure to create this future reality that is absolutely no threat to our current identity. And so by doing that, we create this structure where we have a desired reality, what we call a current reality, and then we allow the path of least resistance to flow through to that future reality by focusing on that true choice. This true choice is what is on your heart. It is what comes through your intuition. It's this way of being in the world where it's purely because it gives you love and purpose and ease. And so it's not like we can go into a feeling of, for most of us, we can't go into a feeling of, oh, I'm just going to create abundance when we've never had it before, because that is a threat to our unconscious identity, which sounds ridiculous from a conscious level, because, I mean, why couldn't we just have what we want, right? And so this is where we get resistance popping up in the way. So here is where we have our resistance, which is what we then work with in magnetic mind to help to shift that. And so when I was talking about trauma and overcoming trauma, the trauma orientation, this is where we really shift by using neuroscience to change the patterns of the memories to actually create more ease and flow by reducing the pain in the memories and retaining the wisdom. It's purely magical work that we do within the field of information that we're all connected into. And so what we have at the moment for most people is we have a wound. Sorry, my pen's not great. We have a wound that we are creating our current reality from. And so we're creating more and more of what we don't want because we're creating from this childhood wound and the wounds that we've experienced since then to create more of what we don't want. And what we need to do is we need to shift our structure. We need to focus on our end result and be in the energy of that while having it now so that it's no threat to our current identity. And then we want to create in this structure, which we call a creative structure. This is how we do conscious creation. So we must teach our consciousness that we are it now, that we are our creative essence, that we were born into life as. We all grew up with this coding, this patterning that then created these identities that keep us limited. But when we step into what we like to call the wizard's gate and return to being our creative essence in human form, purely at one with our imagination, our intuition, and being able to create from our hearts, then we're able to create absolutely magic. And I see this all the time with our clients in Magnetic Mind and with my own personal clients. So we must orientate to a new creative structure by choosing what we want to create for no other reason than because we love it. And we have these what we call core orientational choices that we meditate on and feel into, have a full sensory experience of, to teach our consciousness that we have it now. This is living a life that we love, being the main powerful creator of everything in our lives. So that's being the predominant creator, living out our true nature and purpose, and having health and vitality. These are essential to being a conscious creator. On top of that, we choose what we call end results, these desired realities that we want to manifest. Perhaps it's publishing a book, perhaps it's being an international speaker, perhaps it's creating an easy, lucrative, fun, incredible business that you love. Perhaps it's financial abundance, it's a dream property, it's a life of travel. And what we do is we make sure your true choice aligns in your heart, and then we set it in this structure where we notice where you are now. We get you to feel and have a full sensory experience of where you want to be. And then we use the revolutionary practice of the recode to shift your memories in the field and be able to create with ease. It's absolutely phenomenal how this works. So it's really important that we be it now, that we feel it now, and that we're not our future, and that we're not trying to be better, that we're not trying to create a reality that's better from our current reality, and then we're not trying to fix a problem, and then we're not trying to escape what it is we're currently experiencing. We need to let go of the thought that the future will be better. So when we rewire the memories in the field that formed these self-conscious identities and unconscious agendas, then we're really able to take incredible action with no resistance. So with this work, we work on the premise that we have three levels of consciousness. We have the unconscious, the self-conscious, which we could also call the ego, the logical brain, and then the superconscious, which is our higher self. And effectively what we need to do is we need to rise above the lower levels of consciousness, which we still need, right? We still need our logical brain. We still need our survival system. But when it comes to consciously creating a life that you love, we must rise to our superconscious level, a bit like water rises up to become vapor, and then shift the frequency of that and choose in the invisible what we want to create, and then have that manifest in the visible, in our 3D reality. So how does this relate to trauma? Well, it's phenomenal how much people who are stuck in a trauma orientation just cannot find a way out of it. So it's like we have this problem reality where we're focused on our problems. We have this creative orientational way of living. And then down here we have the trauma orientation. And I really see it as a spectrum. So if you use my example, when I was in such a dark pit, I did not know how to get out, and I was really experiencing significant PTSD. I'd spent thousands of dollars and many years doing personal development and all sorts of therapy and healing to try and shift my PTSD. But when it came to this work, in one session, some real repeated illness experiences to do with my PTSD shifted, because we were able to maintain the wisdom and let go of the pain in the memory structure itself, which has completely transformed my life. And then we have examples of, for example, public speaking, where people have absolutely an overwhelming fear of standing up and doing public speaking. But in one quick session, all of a sudden they can do it, not because they've somehow now got the belief that they can do it, or that because they've created something that's somehow better when there's a problem with them, but it's really that they've rewired their brain. And we all know that neuroscience can work so quickly that we all have neuroplasticity, and this is exactly what happens in the rapid recode. So we use commands to work with the superconscious to smooth over the resistance in the field, so that energy can flow down the path of least resistance from the current reality towards our desired reality. So how does our intuition serve us in this? We use intuition to tune into those true choices. Our heart has been proven by the Heart Math Institute and others to be the main intuitive center of our body. And so really feeling and choosing those true choices through our heart is essential. We learn how to really respond and live life through the truth and the wisdom of what is in the field. So we intuit it through a state of not knowing, of innocence, of being able to receive the wisdom that requires us to take the correct action from our current reality to our desired reality, because in all honesty, we can't manifest and create a life that we love without taking action. You can do as many recodes as you like, but unless you take the correct action, you will not be able to shift towards that end result. And so this is really important. And we have processes in this work where we really help people to take that action. But once you've done the rewire and the recode, that action is much more able to be done because there's no resistance there. Excuse me. So we also teach people to step into the genius side of each of those 9 unconscious agendas, those limiting beliefs, which is just beautiful work by Chris Duncan, where we're able to actually shift into the positive aspect and gain intuition from there, which is really magical for creating anything that we want and also to be able to help other people. So the essence is really that everyone is intuitive, that intuition is everything. And I want you to really sit with that. Like, we're not taught that, certainly in Western society. In fact, intuition for women has been seen as something that is unsafe, that is witchcraft, we've been persecuted for it for thousands of years, right? But now intuition is returning as this incredible, powerful tool to really shift the future of business and personal success. It's going to shift the future of our planet from climate change to social justice issues by really helping everyone to live from their true, conscious, creative essence. Intuition is like a muscle. We're all born with it, but we have to develop it and practice it. And so this is what we do in this work as well, is we really teach you to refine your intuition, to help with your decisions, your directions, and your insight. So what I've described here is really a very brief introduction to the magnetic mind method that we teach at Conscious Education and that I work with personally with clients in groups and one-on-one. Now, I know many of you are people that work with people, and so I would absolutely invite you to take a look at our coaching program where you can learn how to do the recode yourself with others and really be a part of this phenomenal movement towards change, because the more we can change our lives and change the world of others, particularly women, to shift from that trauma orientation, that problem orientation, into living from their most powerful, phenomenal work, then this is how we really have the key to changing the world. And as a result of all that, you'll be living more of a life you love in abundance and fulfillment, and we'll be able to shift into this incredible time of a rise in feminine consciousness. So I didn't get onto the rest of the testimonials I wanted to share, but we've had, for example, one woman who had a mouse phobia gone in one session. We've had eyesight be regained. We've had diagnoses, repeated examples of diagnoses removed after just a couple of sessions. No more lupus, no more diabetes. We've had true love relationships and collaborations. In my life, I went from that darkest pit to go on to create my rainbow baby. I've now got 2 beautiful boys, my dream job, incredible wealth, and a loving partner. When I was in that pit, I saw absolutely no way to create that. And it is through this work that I've done that. And I continue to see these phenomenal results from other people all around the world. So thank you so much for your time today. As you can tell, I'm absolutely passionate about this revolutionary way of working. And I'm so honored to have you with me today. So we've got just a couple of minutes to see if there's any questions. I'll just jump into my message box here, see whether anything comes up. You'll, of course, be able to find my details through our incredible Global Summit team. Thank you so much to WIN Conferences for your amazing organisation and support. Can't see any questions coming in. No questions, so that's all fine. Hopefully that all landed really well with you all. Enjoy the rest of your conference. I know it's the end of the day, so really have a wonderful day tomorrow as well. We've got Melinda back. Hello, Melinda.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Arvin, for your insightful presentation today. So your delivery was confident and engaging, keeping the audience captivated throughout the presentation. And we have a question from our audience. So here is the question. So are there any negative thoughts or beliefs that have developed as a result of trauma, and how they affect anyone?
So if I'm understanding the question correctly, it's are there negative beliefs, is that what you said, that can really
No.
affect?
Yeah. Are there any
Absolutely.
negative thoughts or beliefs that have developed as a result of trauma? How do they affect?
Yeah, absolutely. So many negative beliefs that develop as a result of trauma. So, for example, we can have a real sense of worthlessness, of helplessness. So, these beliefs that I'm not worthy, I am helpless, I'm unloved is a big one. So, this feeling that I'm just completely broken, I'm unlovable, that what other beliefs there could be? I mean, for me, I felt like I was a failure, that there was something wrong with me. And often for people who've experienced significant trauma, they do have this pattern where they tend to go into withdrawal and isolation. So this real sense that the world is not safe, that I am not safe, and that as I said, there's something wrong with me, that I'm not capable. A lot of people in significant trauma feel that they're not able to function in the world, let alone create some level of purpose and fulfillment. So we really see a lot of negative beliefs coming from that trauma experience. And to be really honest, it's a trauma pattern is very cellular. It's a full body experience because we have a nervous system that is completely wired for survival, for hyper aroused responses to situations. And so it's really not easy to suddenly shift those beliefs and to be able to create in the world with a real sense of confidence and safety and positive beliefs. And so this is where this work is really nuanced and beautiful, because it acknowledges the pain of trauma and the original events, even without taking the person to have to go to those trauma memories as such. So I hope that helps answer the question.
Yes, yes, that really helps your answer. So thank you so much, Avan. Thank you for your fantastic presentation with Global Summit 2023. So yes, if you have some time, you can even join our physical event, which is happening in New York, USA. So you can join and you can give your valuable comments over there. And once again, thank you for being a motivational speaker for the Global Summit 2023. So have a great day, and let's move on to another speaker. It's Kristen Russell. So let's join that session and encourage her as well. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much, everyone.